Keenum?
Yeah.
Well, Josh.
Josh, Keenum.
Steph.
Yeah, 1,000%. All right, and 3, and 2. All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. We are here outside of the stadium. Some things going on today. Josh Allen injury update.
Like,
comment, and subscribe.
You thought I wasn't going to get it.
I did forget. Well, Josh Allen's injury can overshadow a lot of things.
I guess
so there's that. What is the latest, and what did we hear today from Sean McDermott?
We're going to take it one day at a time, guys.
Yeah.
And ladies, we're going to take it one day
Good recovery.
at a time. Yeah, Sean McDermott was very vague, as he usually is, but I will say this. He wouldn't get into whether the exact injury. He wouldn't get into whether or not he was asked point blank if Josh has thrown a football since Sunday. He didn't take that bait either. Yeah. Not to say he was guarded or combative, but it wasn't. There were some tense moments of like, guys, I'm not a doctor. We're going to let the doctors decide, and we'll go from there. But again, I want to point out, day to day in Sean McDermott's world is a lot better than week to week.
That was my biggest takeaway, was a couple things. One of which being Sean McDermott came out and just said, I understand that you as reporters have a job to do, but we're going to essentially keep most of the things in-house, which I respect and I do understand. One of which, the thing is, Allen was day to day. And I agree with that. I do think that's a positive sign.
Agreed.
We know he said players are week to week and things like that, which usually leads to, okay, this is a more long-term injury. So I thought that was an upside. The other thing I thought of was just, Sean McDermott talked about they're going to rely on the doctor's wisdom and also use a common sense approach in terms of this injury and how they proceed with Allen. To me, that said, Allen, it's not worst case scenario. It could always be worse, but the fact that they're going to be patient. And like we've seen here at One Bills Drive, they are very patient about getting guys back, and that includes their superstar quarterback.
Yeah, he quoted me, who likes to quote Rex Ryan, by saying I'm not a doctor and that they would rely on the doctor. So we didn't see Josh out at practice. He did walk through as we were entering the locker room. He was obviously out on the field with his team, but he was just in a T-shirt and jogged off, had a sleeve brace. I don't know if it would constitute a brace. It was definitely a sleeve of some kind. Look, he had this UCL injury, which is what is being reported by Rappaport as well as Chris Mortensen. Back in 2018, he missed 4 games. I did a video on that 2 days ago if you want to hear those reports. But what I guess more calming today is that, again, we would have heard something by now if it was really bad.
We talked about this on the car ride up, and I think you made a really good example of, if we rewind to last year, Thanksgiving, Trey White goes down, and very early on, it was like reports that the team fears it could be a serious ACL injury. Whereas this had a lot more leeway in terms of we really didn't have any immediate updates.
We always hear when a player gets injured, team fears it's a torn labrum, team fears it's a broken collarbone, team fears it's a torn ACL. There has been none of that. It has been very quiet, so that's a good thing. So I think that puts into perspective. Now, as we turn the page as to who would now come in for quarterback, I just thought of this. Just in case Keenum. Did anybody else?
Yeah, that's the thing. Before we get to Case Keenum really quick, I loved this from Stefon Diggs when we asked him about, he had the rejoice tweet. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. He said, rejoice, ... And one of the first questions today at his press conference was, hey, does that rejoice tweet have anything to do with Josh Allen's status? And what did he say?
Y'all are reading into shit. Don't stop following my Twitter.
Stay off my Twitter. I just love that. All right, we'll get to Diggs in a second. But yes, let's talk about the backup quarterback, Case Keenum, doing a story on him today for Buffalo Plus. But essentially, here's what you need to know. If you don't know Case Keenum's name, he's been around the league for a long time. This is his 11th season. The Bills is his 8th team. He used to play on the Vikings. He was so funny when we asked him in the locker room, like, you're playing against your former team, and he's like, yeah, I got a lot of former teams.
It was awesome.
I respected that, though. This could be, if he plays on Sunday, his 65th start. So he's a guy that's seen a lot, and he says that while he hasn't had much experience on the field with this Bills offense, that doesn't mean that he's not prepared.
No, it also goes back to the point we talked to Mitch Morse in the locker room, and he said it's different than if a rookie was coming in or a younger player that has never started a game before, guys getting ready to make his first career start. That is not the case here. He said that Case has been in huddles, has
operated, yeah.
Right, they've been his huddles before. So, like, there's a sense of comfort. Stefon said he's a winner. He's a dog. He gives you that confidence, and he said that him and Josh can do similar things with rolling out of the pocket. Look, Case Keenum was a really good signing for situations just like this, this exact reason. So I think that's very telling. Again, for all the people that say Josh gets hurt while running, he got hurt inside the pocket. In case anybody wants to.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that though. Yeah, we won't address that. I did love when Mitch Moore said today, Case Keenum plays with moxie, which that word to me is always like,
I love when a player describes a backup quarterback with moxie. Like that just means like he's got this. Screw it, let's try this. I should have been starting for a while kind of mood. So I like that. Case is a good guy. We were all crowded around his locker, and the first he said, and somebody goes, "You're used to this," and he's like, "Yep." Yeah. This is not foreign to him. I don't think this moment is going to be too big by any means. And again, for a lot of people that said, "Oh, he struggled in the preseason," he was playing with backups.
Yeah.
Mike always talked about it. Give him a chance with Stefon Diggs and Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox, and not with Tommy Sweeney and some other guys.
I completely agree. And also, it's November. He's had time to learn this playbook early on in the preseason. I know they're not opening up the playbook in a huge capacity, but at the same point, he is comfortable. And he talks about how at practice, even though he's not getting those, usually, today he did get the first team reps. Normally that's not the case, but how he's standing right behind Josh Allen, seeing how Allen throws the ball, how the receivers look in and out of their breaks, those visual cues that he's still picking up on. So he's still taking those mental reps going into it. So that to me is something to note. He's done this before. This is literally his job. Mm-hmm. Now, will the Bills see him on Sunday? We don't know yet. I think they're going to play the long game in terms of they're going to wait till they absolutely have to say who is starting.
Josh isn't playing.
I don't believe Josh is playing either.
That's an opinion.
I was say,
I don't have any report or a source. I'm just saying, I don't think he's going to play. I don't think there's a reason to. Yeah. And I think that's where McDermott said common sense. If this was the AFC Championship game, I think Josh guts through it. Yeah. A bunch of those things. We know he's tough as nails. We know he wants to be out there. But it's the fact is, we have to protect Josh from being Josh and wanting to play. So. Yeah. If I was betting right now in Vegas, the line has dropped from 9 all the way down to 4.5. Vegas usually knows things. I don't think Josh is playing.
Him not practicing today, we'll see how that goes. But I agree. Right now, early week, I don't expect him to be out there. But that is, again, our opinion. That is not a report. But let's talk about a guy we know will be out there, Stefon Diggs. A little bit of, I don't want to say revenge game because he's so calm, cool, and collected about going and facing off against his former team in Minnesota. I love listening to Diggs talk. He gives so much personality and insight, and I just feel like he's grown so much. And even Sean McDermott talked about how much he's grown both on and off the field since he was traded to this Bills team.
Genuine is what it feels like. Yeah. When he's talking to us, when he's talking to us, it feels like we're just chopping it up at the bar. We're just sitting there talking about what it's like. And, he talked about how much he's matured. And how he wasn't in the right space, and that he put so much pressure on himself in Minnesota to achieve things that he couldn't even possibly achieve. So he read a book called The Alchemist, which said it put things into perspective, helped him mature. And he says he looks back on Minnesota fondly, that he has no bad taste in his mouth, like just how mature he is. That's a big part of why he's ascended into this all-pro level, was because of getting his head right, because he says that is the biggest change. Not what he was on the field, it's what he is off the field.
I think it's completely that. I also think, and he mentioned this, Minnesota was a run-first team. Yep. Here in Buffalo, obviously that hasn't been the case. But the maturation process of who he is now, both on and off the field, and the fact that he can look back in Minnesota and some of those trials and maybe tribulations and say, well, I've grown from this, and I was supposed to be in Buffalo. You talk about trades working out well for both teams. Stefon Diggs in Buffalo, Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. I love listening to Stefon Diggs talk, because I just feel like we get so much from him, and that's the thing. I believe him too. I believe that he's excited to play against his former team, but it's not this vengeful bit that he's has in his mind.
There are very few cliches that come out of Stefon Diggs, his press conferences. They're very honest answers. A lot of swear words.
I love that.
It's just like you're chopping it up with them.
I'm team swear word.
It's so funny. Stop reading into my shit.
Stay off my Twitter. I love it. Final thing. He kind of briefly mentioned it, just because I asked Mitch Morse this, like, where's the mindset of this team? Because, they're coming off a divisional loss. They have a 7-1 Minnesota team coming in, and all these questions about, Josh Allen, will he play or will he not play? And even Mitch Morse said, and this is a cliche of just like, we have to focus on doing our jobs. But I loved how Diggs said, like, you have to earn the right to win in this league. And he said they took their licks, and then looking back on what went wrong against the Jets. But I feel like that is also a piece that maybe we haven't talked about enough heading into this game. Well,
it's the fact of Diggs also said the standard doesn't drop off just because if Josh Allen doesn't play. And I thought that was very telling. It's not like Stefon's going to go, well, I don't have to run as good of routes this week because I don't have Josh Allen. He even said, this game is hard. It is hard with Josh Allen, as it has been the last game and a half for this Bills team. So he goes, he greases the wheel more to get the ball rolling. But I like that perspective. And again, everybody can't try and do too much. That's the dumb cliche. You just got to do your job, but we will see.
I feel like it's like when you have a backup goalie in during soccer. And you'd be like, everyone has to be that much better.
Was that what it like in your playing days in high school?
Yeah. It was like, oh, Sarah's back there. We got to get it together.
Shout out Sarah.
Sorry, Sarah.
Sarah.
Hope you're not a subscriber. All right. Yes, let's wrap up here. We'll have plenty more coverage. And we will have a special edition of
live show tomorrow. Thursday.
Yes. It'll be from home.
Yep.
But be sure to check it out at 7 o'clock on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. For Dan, I'm Jenna. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment who you think will play on Sunday against the Vikings. And be sure to subscribe. We always appreciate it. Thanks. Bye. Sorry.